Hello, welcome everybody. Who have we got in the chat? Can everyone hear me? I am terrible with this live business, as many of you might know. I'm not a big fan of going live. I much prefer to make my videos and put them out that way once I've edited them. See, that's the sort of stuff I'd edit out. I'm live. We're live. Welcome. We'll give it a few minutes for a few more people to roll in. This was done rather last minute, so yeah, give it a few minutes. Now, guys, many of you don't get the opportunity to speak to me whilst I'm live, or Justice. So Justice, you did a live earlier, so I did see that.
Yeah,
people go and watch
around
that
for a little while, innit? So thought I'd touch base with the peoples. It's nice to see some heads in there, all the gang and that.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
Absolutely. Guys, like I say, we'll give it a couple of minutes for some more people to roll in. In the meantime, you've got me live, so if you guys want to ask you got any questions for me or Justice, perhaps we could answer a couple of those whilst we're waiting for a few more people to roll in. Hello, everyone. So hello to all the gems, Ceci, Maria, Rabbit, Rachel, Mark himself, Intel Lady.
Yeah, hello to all of you.
Hello, everyone. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. What's up? Stacey
A call to action. The football went well, mate. We won. It's all right.
Awesome. Quite a few people joining us. It's great. We'll get started in a minute. What's with the Diana as she's a Rothschild? What do you mean with the Diana? Jack says, hey, I can do this, look. See? I'm getting the hang of it. Jack says, I'm getting a lot of BS and threats from spreading y'all's information. I'm real sorry about that. We certainly, I certainly do get a handful of them too. Yeah, for spreading the information. But thank you to everyone who is trying to spread that information. A call to Action Ipswitxh. I believe I'm going to show a little bit of one of your videos actually. So big up, welcome.
You see, Rabbit lead this question.
Just going for a question. Who wins at FIFA out of you two? You got the most recent FIFA?
No, mate, I haven't played FIFA since about FIFA 2012.
For me, probably 2018. But I do like the game. Yeah, not a massive gamer, but I do like a bit of bashing buttons on the old foosball.
Got to be done every now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. You've just got back from playing some football, right?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it went all right. We won 3-2. I haven't played in about 4 or 5 months, I don't think so. Yeah, I was all stiff and achy and turning like Harry Maguire, real slow. Yeah, that was nice.
I know what that's like. After you've not played for a while, or after you've not done any certain exercise for a while, exercising certain muscles is just killer, especially like the next day or the next couple of days.
Yeah, man.
Right, well, I think we've got. What's that?
I haven't run about in ages, so yeah, cardiovascular and that, mate.
Yeah, that's all good, and in these times, looking after our hearts is very important.
Got to be done.
All right, okay. Here's one more question before we get started. What position do you play, Tiss?
Sort of like a number 10 position, just attacking midfield ish. But like I said, I was so slow and horrible today, man. I was barely even playing, to be honest with you.
All right, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining us live for once. Once in a blue moon situation. I felt it was about time I got back on doing a live. It's great to obviously I try and connect with all of you through the comments, through your socials, etc. But yeah, don't often get the opportunity to talk to you as we go, and it's great to have Justice back on for another Just Truth, which we haven't done in a long time. You've been absent for a while, Tis.
Yeah, we haven't
I
touched
saw you
base
live
in
earlier.
ages. Yeah, we haven't touched base
Yeah.
in ages, mate. It's nice to come live, like you say, and speak to the people, read the comments and stuff, and say hello to some friendly faces and whatnot. Well, yeah.
So
But yeah, no, I haven't.
yeah. Well, how have you been? You've been working on your music, right?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, in absence of making content on the old YouTubes, I've made like a 12-track hip hop album, which is yeah, I'm mad happy with it, mate. To be honest, it's a nice body of work, so I can't wait for the people to hear it. I'm gonna try release it sort of maybe, yeah, probably like late October, to be honest, because I want to do a couple of music videos and things like that. But yeah,
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I look forward to listening to some of that. I've heard some of you, some of you doing some of that, and yeah, no, it's really awesome. So I look forward to that.
no, nice one, man.
So yeah, what's going on? What's going on recently? Not just with us. We've got a new prime minister.
Yeah, apparently so. I mean, yeah, in the live earlier, I'm still in shock, really. Apparently, we had a freaking general election in 2019 that somehow I didn't know about. So that's a Mandela effect stuff, isn't it? I had no idea that happened. I have no recollection of that at all.
I do remember it, but we're talking about it. Doesn't matter. Well,
Yeah,
in your view
crazy,
and in
crazy
mine,
stuff.
really,
But
for the most part, who gets put on that pedestal. Well, there was a little video. I'll show a little bit of it, and I think that the person that made it's in this room. Was it called to Action Ipswitxh? I just wanted to show the first sort of 20 seconds. A big up Mark himself for sending this in as well. But let's have a little look at this.
Welcome. Following the announcement of Liz Truss becoming PM, I thought it would be relevant to do a quick video on it. Nice Adam's apple there, Liz. Right, let's crack on. To trust someone means to tie them up very tightly so that they cannot move. She trussed him quickly with stolen bandage and gagged his mouth. Synonyms: tie, secure, bind, strap. Looking promising, isn't it? Liz Truss supported cuts to NHS and doctors' pay in think tank report. Liz Truss personally supported cuts to the NHS, arguing the service cannot be put on a pedestal. Liz Truss is unfit to be Prime Minister. Love her or loathe her, Thatcher was a formidable stateswoman and heavyweight politician who changed the course of British history. Truss is just a third-rate tribute actor. In this article, it suggests, indeed, opinion polls suggest she enjoys precious little popular support outside the ranks of right-wing Tory activists. The general public preferred Penny Mordaunt to her in the early rounds of the leadership contest, and Rishi Sunak in the final runoff. Just 21% like her, according to YouGov. A mere 12% think she will make a good or great Prime Minister.
There you go. Just something I saw just before coming on. It was sent to me, but I thought that was quite interesting, especially the definition of truss.
yeah,
Right?
I love them. I love them etymological ones, them wordy ones. Yeah, now whose video was that again?
That was Call to Actions Ipswitch, I believe. Have I got that right, Mark? Yeah, big
well
up.
done, brother. No, I really like that.
I'll leave after the live. I'll leave a link to that video in the description. Sorry, didn't have too much time to prepare for tonight, so a lot of this stuff is just kind of last minute thrown in there. But I will make sure that we update a description with that, and I'll try and do the same for anything we show in this video. Now, there was a comment. We'll just stop talking about Liz Truss for a minute because let's address this because I've not addressed this yet. I don't know if you've heard about this, Justice, but this was going around for a while. First. The first I heard of it, I mean, this has been we've had this before, haven't we? Remember that I can't remember the name of the channel, but they started making videos saying Jordan Savile was shot dead, Charlie Ward and Robert David Steele were killed, and they went out, shouting, and they were taken out by the white hats. And they made one about both of us as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, was that like a purely meme channel? It was just like a computer generated voice and a couple of screenshots and stuff.
Yeah, it was. It was. What was that channel, guys? Drop it in the comments if you remember what that channel was called. To be fair, I don't really want to promote it because obviously it was just all absolute pish. They obviously watched our channels because they made one about us and said that I think they said something like, "I went out, I was killed, shot dead by the white hats, and I tried to fire back." I think
that stuff there all stems from the Claire Hockin-Ockel expose we did, didn't it? I think it came like immediately after we started doing that stuff. It wasn't even so much to do with Charlie Ward at the time. I don't think it was mainly Claire. Like it came off the back of that, if I remember correctly. It was around that time. But yeah. Find it if you can, people. Probably. You know the video you're on about.
But an ultimate troll channel, yeah. The Claire Hockin-Ockel stuff. I mean, she was a prize, wasn't she? She's gone completely quiet. After the video, the major expose where she'd obviously gone on my channel. You guys can see this on my channel. Great British Foul, I think the video was called, and I made some update videos recently. And she came on my Telegram channel and was just effing and blinding and saying that we all support, CT, and all these things, and Matt Hancock, and we work for them, and same sort of like Charlie Ward was saying that I work for MI5, or at one point he said I used to work for the police and I was disgraced ex-police officer, all that, and that's what people do, don't they? They just throw. Someone that was talking before about threats for spreading information that we put out there, which is just, information you can easily find. Us looking into it and going, hang on, but that's BS because of this, or even sometimes giving our opinion on it. For instance, that Claire Hockin-Ockel was saying, "Well, we know who you are, Paul. Paul. I mean, my name's not Paul. What's wrong with you?" And then she was like, and I know a bunch of 6'5" guys hanging around London ready to your ass.
Some really, really weird things for someone that's meant to be against like CSA and all of those sorts of things. It's extremely suspect, some of the things that she came out with regards to what
just why
do to you and us. Yeah, crazy. But no, to go back to that question.
Yeah, so going back to the question, sorry, I overrid it with a call to action Ipswitch, but they were saying, about Charlie Ward being dead and Simon Parks and Gitmo. Now, do you know David Zublik off of Dark Outpost? You ever heard of him? No. I'd seen some of his stuff. He basically was the first person to say it. Now, the first I heard of it was a guy called Cliff High. You might have heard of him. He's a content creator, and he put out like something. I believe it was on his Telegram, and it had said that Charlie Ward was shot dead. He exploded because he'd eaten too many burritos, or something like that. And he'd exploded when the white hat shot him. And Simon Parks was arrested and sent to Gitmo. He put up no resistance. Now this went around everywhere, and people went, "Oh, have you seen this? Charlie Ward's dead." And I was just like, but it also says that he exploded from eating too many burritos that day. Discernment, guys, but some people just will believe this stuff, and that was the first I'd heard of it, and I thought that's where the source of the information was coming from. But obviously, Cliff High is a bit more. People were confused because he doesn't put out that sort of information usually, and obviously it was satire, and I think that was because he'd seen David Zublik's claims that Charlie Ward was dead and Simon was in Gitmo.
Right.
Now, David Zublik had said this on his show, Dark Outpost, a very popular show. And a lot of people believed it, and a lot of people went, "Well, hang on, where are you getting this information? Because this sounds like complete BS and stuff that has been regurgitated before about people, getting shot, etc." And so then he got this guy on the show, and I can't remember his name, but he claims to have special intel, and he explained why he knew, and he couldn't give his sources, etc. But that's what he said. That Charlie Ward is now a clone, and if you look at his videos, you can clearly see where the mask starts. All of that.
We've said it before on a Just Truth that we did at least a year ago, if not a couple of years ago. If people are saying that they've got inside info most of the time, they can't tell you where it's coming from, but they've got it and they can't tell you it, but they're meant to be under an NDA. It's BS. You can
But why are
guarantee
you
it.
blabbing about it on the internet?
99% of the time, it's insane. Like they just, it's an impossibility that you would hold such information and speak about it in such a way. It's an impossibility. So the idea that Charlie Ward is a clone, Charlie Ward is a clone suddenly, or he got killed the other week or something, and there's no proof of this. Yeah, just craziness, you know. And if you're going and listening to a channel, what channel did you say it was?
Dark Outpost, David Zublik.
Yeah, so
was the one that
I'm not
basically people had a backlash, and he had to say, oh, it wasn't me, it was this guy that said it. Here is him on my show, and he was like, yeah, I can't give my sources, but this is what's happening. You know, it's that sort of deal.
Yeah. Well, but you can guarantee it's BS. So don't worry, people. I'd imagine. Good old.
I can 99.99% guarantee Charlie Ward is not dead. He's still out there grifting. He's still the same guy. He's not a clone. And Simon Parkes is still doing his grift and his story and his narrative, and he's not doing it from Gitmo. That is, I can tell you that with almost complete certainty. So that answers that.
Extreme proof to the contrary, you can take it as truth, pretty much. You know, coming from Just Truth, that's it. It's nothing to worry about, people. There's no clones. Charlie Ward's still alive.
Yeah, I absolutely believe so. But enough about that. I didn't want to waste much time on that, and that's why I didn't make a video about it. Because again, also I didn't want to advertise this stuff going around. But what really shocked me, and I think that the Cliff High guy that did the post, it was like a social experiment. I'm sure of it, because usually he doesn't put stuff out like that. I think it was a social experiment to go, look how dumb some people can be. And people spread it around, and I'm sure fans of his spread it around, going, look what Cliff High has, put out there. It's true. Charlie Ward's dead. And I was just face palming, and I had so many messages coming through into my inboxes, my various socials, saying, hey, some of them saying, I don't know if this is true, but most of them saying, oh, you're going to need to know this. Charlie Ward's dead. And I'm like, oh. And if it was a social experiment from Cliff High, very clever and very apt and very telling, shocking, terrifying, that people believe that. I mean, what Cliff High put out was really bad, because he was saying, well, Charlie exploded when he got shot by the White Hats because of all the burritos he'd eaten. So if people can't pass that sniff test, then that is extremely terrifying. Now, going back to the Dark Outpost, the David Zublik channel where this information originally came from, that's bad enough for most sniff testing of BS, discernment, etc. You would at least hope that most people would say, well, this is what some guy had said who claims that he's an insider and he has this information. Interesting to note, but it's probably BS. I mean, that's what I'd expect a lot of people to do, and some people would say, nah, straight off the bat, it's complete BS. But to have, and I think there's a bit around people want that to be true. Again, we've seen this so many times, so they will spread it because, oh, God, hope this is true. I think
which is fine, but again, the same way that you would articulate it as, oh, I heard this from someone. Apparently, he's got the information. You would maybe you wouldn't be like, oh, I hope it, but it would be more of a, this would be interesting if it were true, or wouldn't this be an interesting story if this is come to fruition and there's some actual evidence behind it. You wouldn't just come with it like, yeah, brilliant, great. That's belief. And we've got to do better, people, man. That's shocking.
We have to do better, because even if it's information that we want to be true and could help, it's the same as like some of the stuff around, like Greg Hallett is, some of the stuff like, the royals are bad people, but there is this guy who was the real king, and that's much of better reality. That's much more of a positive. Well,
that's the main backlash that we faced, really, from that whole sequence of events. We talked about the psychology of the people like hundreds of times, but the main backlash that we had from that was from people that just really, really wanted it to be true. A lot of them are nice people, they're good people. They just wanted it to be true so bad because they hate the current way things are, and it seemed like such a better option that they couldn't possibly once they'd invested themselves into it, they couldn't see any other way. And that's totally avoidable with a little bit of common sense and looking
Well,
for some
I hope we're
evidence.
making a difference to the playing field and to these people, because there was a period of time where a lot of this stuff went unchallenged, and it spread like a cancer, because there was no one saying, hang on a minute, think about it. Everyone was just on the high of, but the Royals are bad. Oh, these people are pointing out that Greg Hallett's an absolute shill with
Exactly
evidence.
the same backlash.
No, I'm not even going to look at that, because these guys, they love the Royals. They love the P and all of that stuff, because they're speaking against someone that is speaking against someone, mutual dislike of someone. And that is very, very dangerous. That's a very dangerous weapon. The same as the people coming out claiming to, like Madison Marquette, claiming to be going into and breaking up child trafficking networks and rehoming children, going in as a civilian with a gun and doing all this. And the military would not have Madison Marquette, ex-porn star of all people, doing those sort of missions. But it's saving the children, which is not. And the only thing it's doing, and people are saying, well, you're doing damage to the movement for pointing out that she's an absolute bloody liar. And I'm saying, no, she's doing damage to the movement, because everyone can look at her and say she's crazy. That's not true. And
Well,
all the other stories, all the other testimonies are probably not true.
Well, that's what I mean. In that case, what movement are you referring to? Like, it can't be the truth movement if it's a lie, and it can't be the child rescue movement if she's not doing that. So, like, you can't be.
But in a lot of these people's eyes, it's all in the same box. It's all in the same box, and no matter who says it and how wild their claims are, it's all in the same box, and it's all for the same cause. And that is where we have become.
But this is why we have to do better, because it's not everything is compartmentalized within life to a certain extent. So it's not just a case of, oh, here's the good and oh, here's the bad. It gets more complex than that. And I feel like we say with the backlash of the people and the psychology of those that wish to follow these things, it's almost the same with a lot of the Q stuff. You towed the line for a long time, predominantly, I think. Tell me if I'm wrong, obviously, but because it's easier to surpass talking about it, that the specific in-depth stuff of the Q stuff, it's easier to just surpass that than lose the people that would potentially just go, nah, M's a shill or whatever, because he's not believing in Q necessarily. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. It's been a sad state of affairs, and us two and many others out there, and probably many people in this chat, have really had it up against us, because especially if you are not like one of these people that completely follow the mainstream media narrative, especially a lot of these truthers that have been around, truthers, people that look into this sort of stuff, that have been around for a long time, a lot longer than 2-3 years now, that have questions for these people propping up in the last 2 years, and these stories. And it's a difficult position to be in when you are getting hammered by both sides, by people right deep down the rabbit hole, but also by the other side of things.
Yeah.
It's a difficult place to be in. So big up everyone out there that's sharing our work, the information that we find, that you find, doing your own thing. Big up to everyone speaking out for the truth, because that's what matters, and that's what actually matters to all these people that have gone in the extreme end of the rabbit hole. It's about bringing out the truth, but they're just lost because they don't even know what's true anymore, but they will believe anything that's told to them. For some of them, difficult situation. Gone on a major tangent there, but that was probably an important topic. So thank you, whoever the original commenter was. I mean, I've had that comment 100 times on my channel, and I've gone, I'm just going to ignore it. But they caught me live. I said, ask me anything. So there's the just truth. There's the just truth on that. Back to Liz, because I had more to say on Liz. Did you know that? So she's our new Prime Minister. We saw that little clip from Call to Action Ipswitxh, which was great. Thank you for that. And did you know that Intel Lady has been doing for a little while now. She's been doing sketches on Liz Truss. Have you seen any of them yet?
No.
Nah.
No,
All right, well,
forgive me,
let's have a
Intel
quick
lady,
look at one of them.
forgive me, but
Yeah, big up
yeah,
Intel
drop
Lady.
it.
She's in the chat. Link to her channel is in the description. She parodies. If you've not heard of her before, she parodies. She was mainly parodying grifters, people that we talk about, which was extremely hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Lyman Sharks, you've got Fraudy, you've got quite a few.
Her characters are phenomenal. So yeah, definitely go and subscribe to her, people. She's in the chat there somewhere. If you're not already subscribed, go subscribe. She's brilliant.
Do me a favor, guys. Go into the description after this video, or during this video, or once you've watched this next clip, and click on the link that I've left in the description. It's there now, and subscribe to Intel Lady, a friend of ours. Not only that, the work she does is phenomenal. I don't think that it's appreciated enough. She is a comedy genius. So did all this work on the grifters, which was absolutely great. And now she's kind of branched out a little bit more to do some of the kind of mainstream, the politicians, things like that. And she'd started doing Liz Truss, which I thought was brilliant. So I'll show a short clip of one of those now.
Hello, it's purveyor of pork markets, lover of Claire's accessories, and hopefully the jury's out, soon to be Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Liz Truss. My dearest friend Nadine Dorries suggested to me that I connect with younger voters via this platform, and I felt it was the perfect opportunity to discuss something that has happened recently in the press. There has been some audio leaked of myself suggesting that British workers do not work as hard and do not have a good working culture as other countries such as China. That is a disgrace. What they didn't play was straight after that, me gushing about how wonderful the British people are and how I would love to sit down at the table of some people and enjoy a delicious plate of baked beans on toast with these families of hard workers. Unfortunately, this is what happens when you are in a race with somebody else for the position at the top. I urge the British people to not pay any attention to anything bad said about me in the next few days. It is not a reflection on who I am. I have worked hard in government and produced pork markets and talked about the importance of cheese and children learning trees and animals. All of these things are important parts of my resume, and I will be proving myself as I continue on, hopefully in the position of Prime Minister, your Prime Minister. Thank you for listening.
Well, there you go. There's Intel Lady. Make sure you go and subscribe. Absolutely brilliant. The parodies are amazing. More people need to be subscribing to her. It's an injustice that she's not absolutely blown up right now. She's moved over to TikTok, I believe, and I think she's doing quite well there, because you can imagine that platform is more about the kind of short clips of
100%.
comedy and stuff. So I wish her the best over there as well. But still, the YouTube channel, the links in the description. Go and subscribe. So more on Liz. You were saying earlier in your live, you don't know much about. I don't know either too much about Liz. I've been watching what's been going on a little bit recently. Did you know that she made a tweet back in 2011 talking about how often, I made this post earlier on all my socials, talking about that she often saw, I won't even describe it. Let's just go straight into it. We share the right tab. There you go. So this is from her Twitter, 29th of October 2011. Used to see Jimmy Savile at the Flying Pizza on Street Lane, Roundhay. Always in good spirits. R.I.P. That's from our Prime Minister. I think I posted something like, our new Prime Minister may want to delete this one, Liz. This
Very telling.
reminds, very telling. This reminds me of, well, I mean, first of all, let's talk about that. So, I mean, this is obviously after he just died, so a lot of the stuff hadn't come out then, I suppose.
Yeah, that's kind of.
But I mean, you would have deleted it soon afterwards, surely. And the fact is, you know, used to see her often used to see her quite often at a pizza place.
Yeah, nice. I like it. Nice.
I don't know. No. I thought that was shocking, to be honest. I mean, you know, if someone said that she did a tweet back then when he first died, and then she deleted it when she found out, you know, but I mean, the pizza place thing as well is just like a little bit alarming for me. The whole thing is weird.
Definitely. I would be super surprised if that wasn't some sort of code there, you know, like with the whole Prince Andrew thing and his recollection of the old the pizza place in Kensington or whatever it was, Pizza Express, wasn't it? He remembers.
Yeah, Pizza Express.
I would be. Yeah. I'd be very surprised if that wasn't some sort of code. But then at the same time, like you're saying,
not only that, you got Comet Pizza, and you know the whole Pizza Gates.
No. Well, the same. Yeah, some serious code going on. But at the same time, I just think, these people have no shame, man. They don't care, do they? Do you know what I mean? Like, Keir Starmer was head of the CPS around that time when he could have potentially got prosecuted or whatever. Everyone in the higher echelons of that kind of area of society is going to know about what was going on before it came to light, really, in the public domain and stuff. And she don't care. They're all, you know, no shame at all. She's not going to delete it. They love that.
You wonder whether it's like a kind of like a sneaky badge of honor, you know, between.
If you can align, I would imagine so. You think about it. If you can align yourself with that, and obviously you know who he was in contact with and stuff. So if you can align yourself with that and that way of being, and you know, I remember used to seeing him around and stuff. Good old Jimbo.
Good old
and
Jimbo.
then still hold a position of power in the public eye though, without too much uproar or whatever. It probably is like a little badge of honor. You know what I mean? If you can still potentially be like a public figure that people take to, but yet you do these immoral type of things, it probably is a kind of badge of honor for them, I can imagine.
It kind of reminds me, and I think that it's always good to plug this where possible because still people haven't seen it. It reminds me, you know, Jimmy Savile, for anyone that doesn't know, I'm pretty sure that everyone probably watching this knows, some might not. You know, Jimmy Savile is probably the most prolific child abuser that the UK has ever seen. His nefarious activities with children have since his death become very well publicized. He was not a good guy. He was very intertwined with the royals. In fact, they went to him for advice on a lot of matters. He used to just stroll into Buckingham Palace like a VIP. Weird stuff, but you know, he was but where I'm going with this is it's always good to plug, you know, the Charlie Ward connection. And even though that I won't say that it's necessarily a, you know, he never said I was best pals with good old Jimbo or anything. But well, I'll show you what he did said just really quickly. It's only a minute long. I'm sure most of you here have seen it, but it's always good to recap. And for anyone else that's watching for the first time to see this, it's quite shocking stuff. So, let's have a quick look at Charlie Ward talking about taking young girls onto the BBC to the Top of the Pops, where Jimmy Savile was a host, and knowing that the hosts would most likely shag them.
Number 19. Charlie procured underage
sound, is
girls
there? Can you hear
for
that?
pop stars on the Top of the Pops.
There's already
This
sound,
is
Justice.
disgusting, and I'll let him explain.
Really? Many
There is.
years ago, I was involved with a certain television personality that allowed me access into the BBC. I used to be able to get onto a very famous program called Top of the Pops. And a lot of the girls would say to me, Charlie, get me on Top of the Pops. And I could take probably 5 or 10 girls on a week. And I said, well, I'll take you on, but you'll end up having to shag the bloke that, if you know, he'll probably want to shag. And they were like, no problem, we come, you know.
Yeah.
There was never a problem.
Right.
Now, 30 years on, and their marriage is dissolved, and they're in their 50s and 60s, it's suddenly become a problem. It wasn't a problem all those years ago.
Right, exactly.
And I remember these girls saying, I'm quite happy to come there. So I'm very, very careful. Now, there is a lot of bad things going on for definite. And there was bad things going on there because a lot of these girls were young girls, you know. Back in the sort of 80s, I didn't think...
Like how...
out of sync, I think, then.
How did he not just get banned? How did he not just get banned from the web from that point on? Like everyone should have just ignored his ass from there on. How has he got followers from that point on? It was mad. That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Do you know what though? This happened months before I exposed it, and no one, no one twitched. Not even a twitch from any of his followers.
I don't have
Is
any
there
respect
more?
for your opinion when you don't have a name or a face.
Did I cut that off too early?
Who are you?
Still going.
Oh, I'm M. Oh, great. Brilliant. I'm C. But somebody was saying that something about Jimmy Savile and to do with paedophilia. And I said, well, first of all, I've never met him. I had gone to Top of the Pops, and I said I took 2 young ladies with me.
Top of the Pops. And a lot of the girls would say to me, Charlie, get me on Top of the Pops. And I could take probably 5 or 10 girls on a week.
I had gone to Top of the Pops, and I said I took 2 young ladies with me.
And I could take probably 5 or 10 girls on a week.
You'll know as ladies, women like to be called young ladies. Well, somebody had interpreted it as like kids, and it wasn't. They were actually 25 years old when I took them.
And there was bad
Ain't
things
no
going on there because a lot of these girls were young girls, you know.
Isn't it? You can't tell.
Ain't none of them chicks
Somebody had
in the
interpreted
Between a
it as
25-year-old girl and an
kids, it wasn't. They
underage
were actually
girl.
25 years old when I took them.
And there was bad things going on there because a lot of these girls were young girls, you know.
The whole explanation is
Win at work.
It's just stupid,
the
man.
whole explanation is mad. Like imagine 25-year-old girls being like, "Oh, I'll take you at Top of the Pops." Like, what? Especially back then as well. He was just saying how, like, you know, women in their mid to late 20s at that point would have been sort of more settled down back then times. You know, that's just insane things to say. Crazy guy. Yeah, brilliant.
There's a very clear difference to a 25-year-old and, you know, a 15-year-old or even 17-year-old. There is a very clear difference, and he would not go on. And I think that he thought that he was cool, and it was a cool story because back then
He got carried away, bro. He got way carried away.
He got carried away.
He was in the alpha room. That's what happened. He was in the alpha zone with Nunez and just started spewing.
Back then, yeah, I took little kids on the. Oh shit.
Back in the day, he used to get VIP access with his host. Yeah.
Apart from the underage young girls, there was no oh shit moment. And after that, what the point I'm making is it was months before I reported on it. Months before, and I knew about it maybe a month or so before I reported on it. It was sent to me, and I was like, right, I'm going to do something with this, but I want to do something bigger with this, which is why I made 30 reasons, and this is the biggest, the most shocking part about it. But I didn't go and just put it on
top of all the other ones that you already had. It's like an icing on the cake piece in it. So,
but why did no one? Why did no one in that panel? Why did they not go? What the fuck? What? Are you serious,
I semi think Nunes was kind of, when he said "oh fuck," was kind of like,
Ooh.
because no one else said anything, especially not the women. He's like the most alpha dude there, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? So I think he kind of felt at that
Boxer.
point. It all happened within like a split second, didn't it? Where he kind of finished the conversation, but there was a point where Nunes was kind of like, "hang on," and kind of semi-questioned it in his dumb peanut brain. But I think because no one else on the panel reacted, it just got blown over. But it's the same response from all the followers, like you say. That video has been out there with tens of thousands of views for a good month or so before it got pulled up on by any of us. So it's just a gloss over people's eyes. Once they want something to be true, once they like something, whatever they say, they'll just, if it's stuff like that, that will just get ignored and pushed to the side, and they'll gloss it over. And the QFS system, though, the QFS system, though. Like, yeah, but he just said he took underage girls on top of the box, bro.
The excuses that came after. But that was back in the 80s, and things were different then, and we all had different mindsets. No, come on, you're out here screaming, "Save the children," this, that, and the other, and you're like, yeah, but let him off because he's a truther, and he's going to give us a QFS and med beds and whatever, whatever tickles their fancy. Let him off. No, don't let him off. And you shouldn't be. Things were different then. Oh, moral compasses were different back then. He's always on about his setting the moral compass. Where was your moral compass? Where was all of that panel's moral compass? Where was all the followers' moral compass that berated me, that trolled me, that hated on me for sharing that, for making 30 reasons, for putting that out there? And I think I did a good job in being very objective. I wasn't trolling Charlie in any way. I was putting out.
No, you made it specifically for the people that were still believing it at that point. You got to remember at that point there, we had a whole group of us that was like going hard, calling out his bullshit left, right, and center on a daily basis. Every single one of those podcasts would get chopped up and sent through in group messages, and we'd all go through different bits and bobs, and we were all slapping it about continuously. But that was specifically put in a way where you articulated it as to not really upset or get the backs up of those people that would still be inclined to listen to it. It was designed for those people, so it was it's put together nicely.
Yeah. So, I mean, anyway, we'll try not to get stuck on this. It's kind of old news, but it's not for some people. Some people are just finding out about it because it tried to get buried or whatever. Put it out on that. And thankfully enough, that 30 Reasons I Don't Trust Charlie Ward video did have a great impact and actually made its way through a lot of the content creators that were creating content with Charlie. And caused quite a stir, which is exactly what it should do. But the thing that terrified me, a lot of things are terrifying me these days, is that no one gave a crap until someone pointed it out and said, "Look, listen to it again. Look at it." No one gave a crap. And they washed over it. And when this happened, they went, "Yeah, but that was a different time. And all these girls wanted to go on there. Well, all these 15-year-old girls wanted to go on there, or 17-year-old, or when they were children. When do they to go and meet a famous person? Everyone gets starry-eyed, and that's why they're probably sticking up for Charlie. He's famous.
I mean, when it comes to like society and the way those things are accepted and dealt with and stuff, I think there has to be a certain amount of appreciation for the different attitudes to certain things in different decades. But if you're using that as like an excuse in hindsight for what he's alleging that or suggesting that he took part in, then yeah, you're a proper wronger. If that's the sort of thing you're saying, that like, oh yeah, it's different times back then, to the sort of thing that he suggested. Like, you can take individual situations as you will. It depends. But if you're going to take what he's alleging as, I said he's underage, very, very young, like we're saying, 14, 15-year-old girls onto that show with who, and he wanted to do that, and you're a wrong one if you're defending that. 100%. You need to go
absolutely.
Hard look at yourself.
And if it was anyone else, they'd crucify him.
You would hope so.
They would. If it was anyone else who wasn't, doctor.
You would hope so, but anyone, like, that's what I mean. Like, if you have the inability to see past some sort of whatever it is for kind of facade that Charlie's put over on you, then that's insane. You need to really check your moral compass, as Charlie Ward would say.
Absolutely. I don't want to keep talking. I know that again, we get stuck into these sort of things, and this is, as I say, kind of like old news, but it's important, and I think that the topic of how people reacted to that, how people reacted or didn't react to him saying it, and how people reacted to me putting it out there, or anyone else sharing me putting it out there, I think that that's an important topic. Jax has said, I put that at the bottom of the screen, about play the scene with a girl that recognised him.
Right,
There was a
I forgot about that. I forgot about this one.
Yeah. I mean, I won't play it because I've not prepared it, but you can go and see it. It's called. If you load up my YouTube and you scroll down on the homepage, it will say my most watched videos. I think it's got like 72,000 odd views. It's something like child trafficking victim remembers Charlie Ward off of private plane, and in that he goes in to talk to this. Does his interview with a child trafficking victim, not knowing what what's going to come from that. Thank you to Bundles of Fun for 42.0 for your kind support of my channel. So yeah, if you look on my in that video, you will see that he's talking to her, and suddenly she says, and then I heard your voice, Charlie, and I realised I remembered you off a private plane back when she was trafficked, going towards one of those secret places, and then I saw you or whatever. And so basically, she says she remembers him when she was being child trafficked from a private plane, and he was like, "Oh no, I didn't fly to any of those countries. No, wasn't me." And then afterwards, he put out a video in response to me picking up on this again and putting this out there. And he said he showed his phone. He was like, "This was me 25 years ago. Do I look the same? Look, I've got hair. I had hair. You wouldn't recognize me with hair, right?" And that is what everyone then went and leant back on. Oh, but he had hair 25 years ago. You would not recognize him. He had hair. But the thing is, she recognized his voice. Not his hairstyle, not his belly. She recognized his voice and then his face, not how big, how much thinner he was. Not him having hair. It was just ridiculous. And again, someone yesterday was saying, "Oh, well, that was just nonsense. It was debunked because he went on to he then showed her a picture of him 25 years ago, and she said, "Oh no, I wouldn't recognize him." That again is not true. He then did a separate show with, I think it was Tiana, and said, "Oh, this was me 25 years ago. Would you recognize me?" And she said, "Oh no, I perhaps wouldn't." That does not debunk this victim, saying this. But like I said, I didn't want to go too much into that. But you can see the full video. Like I said, it's
important to pull that back up because, like you said, I forgot about that one entirely, and that's a good one.
It's directly linked. The same thing. Let's say same thing. It's someone else catching him on camera saying, "I remember you from those days," and him going, "No, it weren't me." And then coming up with all these different excuses to why it weren't him. And it's the same sort of slippery reaction to it all. But anyway, let's reel ourselves back in. We were talking about Liz Truss, new PM. We watched a great video from Intel Lady. Simon Parks had something to say. I don't know how much you've kept up to. I mean, I've not really kept that much up to breast with Simon Parks, although I have been reporting on him things that he'd done in the past.
It's always relatively interesting to hear, the sound bites of things that these people say, but I can't stomach the intellectual power.
Well, luckily you won't have to hear him. I'm not going to show him talking today.
Oh, what?
But I will.
You build me up just to let me down like that, man. What the hell?
Well, we're still going to talk about him because he had said, and I'll show this here. He had said that his intel, his special insider intel, was that Rishi Sunak was going to be our next PM.
Oh God!
He heard about it. He knew it. This was what's going to happen. Special intel. Thank you very much to all those listening to the special intel. He is that Rishi Sunak was going to be the next PM. Of course, as we know, as of today, that is not true. It's Liz Truss. And I put out a post earlier saying, so Simon Park strikes out again with his poor failed predictions he put out as intel. He told others in one intel drop that Rishi Sunak would become the new Prime Minister. Today, Liz Truss was named our next PM. I wonder what his excuses will be. I can hear the excuses now. I've heard them all before. A deal was made last minute. The White Hats thought Sunak was compromised. So on and so on. Insert excuse here. Now, I'll just quickly say that I can't take full credit for this post because actually most of it was copy-pasted into and created into a post myself by a good friend, Paul. Thank you, Paul. However, what I found interesting was some of the responses because because it invited people to give their own reasons he might come up with. It was a dirty suitcase bomb in Rishi Sunak's packed lunchbox that came with a stern warning to back off. Or the timelines were changed. Yeah, that's a pretty standard excuse when predictions go wrong.
Solid one, that is. I love that one.
Isn't it?
That's one of my all-time faves.
Timelines were changed. That's how it goes down when things, failed predictions go wrong. Timelines were changed.
Timeline shift. Love it.
Joanne Marriott says, "Duh, Em. She isn't really had to say he won because she's female, but she's obviously going to do what Rishi tells her. They're working together. Or maybe secretly it's still Boris. You know, just like the Trump-Biden thing. But either way, UK is still effed." Celia says, his Draco daddy told him it was lizard Truss and he didn't trust him, so he said the opposite. Chris says, Trump intervention.
Yeah.
I said, Liz is a Sunak clone, a badly made one. Caroline, big up Caroline. She says, I had to say that to confuse the black hats, which is something that they've said before. I think Charlie Ward has certainly said before. We had to throw off the black hats because the black
favorite go-to.
In it, because the black hats, they watch our channel. They watch, we had to throw them off.
Every now and then.
All right. There's more on my Telegram, but I've just picked the ones from Facebook. Simona says, Sunak doesn't like any of my cats, General Flynn in particular. White hats found it disrespectful, decided to teach him a lesson by placing a clone of Liz, while Sunak in reality is in position of the new UK PM. But he doesn't know it yet, and most probably wouldn't notice because white hats will keep Liz the clone in position as long as they decide it's time for a new Liz the clone to step in. I like that one. I haven't seen that one yet. I haven't seen a few of these actually. Thank you, Simona. I just thought that was a bit of fun there. As Charlie Ward would say. Brilliant. But the thing with Charlie Ward was he says, just for a bit of fun, I'll throw this in there. I found out that M is a Peter. Absolutely dickhead. For me, a bit of fun is, anyway.
Yeah.
But, moving on. So that's what Simon he's failed into. And in fact, actually, we'll go back to that because there is an ex-coordinator sent me this. And I found it quite interesting. Here's notes an ex-coordinator made during one of Simon Parks's amazing, in brackets, intel drops to coordinators January this year. Javid interview pulled. COVID passports to be scrapped, meaning vaccines will also be scrapped. This was in January of this year. Vaccines are not being scrapped, Mr. Simon. Tonga, cold fusion detonation. The island may have completely disappeared. Then military operations will occur before the RV. Iraq to announce the RV by 30th of January. Where are we now? We're in September now. Germany, Canada, and Britain will keep existing leadership, i.e., Boris Johnson. Well, yeah, that didn't happen, but will change policies. Other governments, i.e., USA, will change leadership. Still haven't seen that happen either. Positive moves still look good for 19th or the 20th of January. I haven't. I don't know what positive thoughts moves he's referring to. End of income tax, end of credit cards, end of loans. A debit card will be issued to all containing a set amount. What I think that comment down there with a little picture from Claire sums it up.
Yeah, absolute crock of turd, mental. Oh,
Crock of turd. I love that.
I just find it hard that after continuously putting out posts such as that, as soon as you see something like that, someone is really trying to get to the truth and discern some sort of, sense in this world, get to the bottom of things. As soon as you see someone is actively promoting that kind of thing and saying that kind of stuff, and none of it comes to fruition. I mean, even if only 70% of it comes to fruition, you'd be like, man, this is a okay kind of reliable source. But a 70%,
bit hit and miss.
Good. If you was making those kind of predictions there and you was getting 70% of it right, you'd be like, even then you'd be a bit meh. But these people get nothing right any of the time, and how they still have a following, it just bewilders me, man. Crazy stuff, really. I mean, there's some big ass claims.
Anyway, I kept to my promise. You didn't have to listen to Simon Parkes talk. Instead, I outlined all those claims for you.
Do you think it's the what do you think it is that gets people a lot of the time? Do you think it's like the grandioseness of the claims, as in like the credit card type stuff and things like that? Financial freedom given by the state and stuff like that.
It's definitely the hope, isn't it? It's definitely the you know what? Who wants to listen to doom and gloom when there's people out there they could listen to and subscribe to that will make them feel good for them, hopefully forever. In our eyes, for weeks until the next hit needs to be constructed for them to intake. It's hopium. That's what keeps them going. It's an addictive drug of believing or wanting to believe in when they've found this relief of hope, of a positive things coming. It's so shocking.
I think that's potentially quite dangerous, because I can imagine. I've never been in this situation where no, not potentially, but I mean in terms of how potent like the addiction kind of side of it is, because like you said, it kind of jumped from one to another. If you shut down Charlie Water them super hard, the next week they'll be on Greg or Claire Hockenockel or the Q thing, and they'll be on Frog Network or whatever it was. These other things, it's always the next thing, and I think a lot of that is kind of like that quick dopamine fix thing. Like I said, I've never followed any one or any kind of movement in that kind of nature, but I think if you were to, and you were kind of waking up in the morning, and one of the first things you're doing is going on Telegram and checking someone's updates or their special info, that's like that's super. That's as bad as if you was like you had a mad porn addiction or something, man. You need to check yourself if that's the situation that you're in. It's not healthy. It's really not healthy.
The addiction is real, and I've just thought of this, and it made me smile halfway through your comment there. Drug addictions are real. Addictions in general are very real. Psychological, physical addictions. And thank you again for Bundles of Fun. Imagine asking Charlie Ward for answers on the future, financially, etc., after all the exposure, especially at this time in the world. Well, he's still going strong, and he's still, literally put out a video the other day, which I've just made a video about, my last video that I made. About him, but now he's backtracking, and that was what the video was about. Him backtracking on buying.
That was a very, very interesting video. I mean, like the video that you put with that, with the first video of what's she called again? Tiana. What's he called?
Tiana, yeah.
Tiana, yeah. The first video you put on there was she's like, "Mate, my mum bought some. What do we do?" And that's done me over because I'm thinking like, I was just waiting for her to be like, "Well, what's my mum gonna do with her coins?" I was
Charlie,
expecting her to be like,
tell me
"Well,
what to
what's
do
my
with
mum
my
gonna do with
mum.
this?" I got her to spend all my birthday money on it, all the Christmas money. She remortgaged the house and that. We've got like the wardrobe is just stacked with Zimbabwe notes. What do we do, Charlie? But she didn't really quite up for that.
And a year later, she's like, Charlie, I hate to bring this up again, but my mum.
I hate to mention it, mate. I really don't want to.
Laugh. I hate
But
to
my
laugh.
mum, honestly, if she has the wardrobe stacked with these notes for another year, mate, she's gonna kick me out and everything, man. That's what I mean. I was fully expecting her to kind of be like, "Wait, what do we do?" But
we'll have an update August 2023, and she'll just be sitting there like an absolute wreck, her hair all a mess. She'll be like, "So Charlie, I've been meaning to get to this. My mum, she's now an absolute wreck, and we shouldn't laugh because this is real. This is happening to people, and even the people interviewing Charlie is saying, "Well, my mum did this, and I want you." And you know what his smug response is? You go and watch that video, but it's like, I bought a trillion. I bought a trillion. Yeah, it doesn't break my heart. Doesn't break my bank. He didn't say that, but yeah, that's what he's saying. It wasn't that much really. And then he's there posting on Instagram on his private plane, eating, like a god. And I'm sure off the back of the intel, the Insiders Club money that he's taken off people to give them his intel. I mean, it is outrageous. Those at times like these, I do not understand how even his followers, as brainwashed as some of them could not look at the pictures of him in the private plane and just be outraged. Outraged. I don't understand that. I mean, if I was in his position, which I would be, I would be very conscious of putting out images like that of them traveling the world in a private jet. I don't know. We've gone off on a tangent again.
No, but it's all of this stuff, man. Like, there's
bundles of fun. There you go. Look, I was going to say bundles of fun. You've sent us off on that tangent. Thank you very much for your support on my channel. But yeah, it is. Where were we? I forgot. Oh yes, the thought that I had. We were talking about hopium. The thought that I had was my videos, for those that are in the circle, when it gets shared in maybe a Charlie Ward group or something, there's outrage. It's almost like with the bursting the bubbles of hopium. If you think of it in the terms of actual drug addiction, if I managed to, my videos managed to get into those groups, those houses, those trap houses, those crack houses, right? It's like,
mate, we've started something here. We've started something here, mate. All these Facebook groups, we need to refer to them as like the bando or the trap house. Is
it? It's like me walking in and pickpocketing all the drugs of all of these crackheads, right? And taking them all away and walking out the door, and then coming after me like, hey, you can't do that. That's my crack. And me turn around and say, crack's bad. Drugs are bad, okay? It's a similar sort of thing.
It's the same. You just started a process of withdrawal as well. They instantly start bugging. Yeah.
And it's
good analogy.
Like me,
I like it.
And I keep coming back and I keep stealing the drugs out of their pocket every time. Like I see them going and buy it in the street corner, and I'm like, got it.
They go and try and buy a different drug. Then you still go take it off, and they're like, what can we take? What can we take? Yeah, it is a lot.
Amanda Cornell says, please don't put us down who have listened to them. It wasn't like a drug. I saw through it. Be careful. Never heard you make fun of people who listen to them. That is not what we are doing at all. That is not what we're doing, Amanda. And I'm not trying to make fun of anyone that's ever listened to Charlie Ward at all. The analogy that I make is for the people that not only listen to them, but will not listen to reason. Not the first, not the second, not the third, not the fourth, not even the fifth time, and continue to do so. And I'm not even trying to make fun of them. Yes, we're having a bit of laugh talking about it, but you have to imagine how stressful it is. you have to add humour to it, because the people that look back, that listened to him the first, even the second time, and then went, all right, okay, you know, they have to look back and go, okay, well, you know, that is kind of funny. There's no way, and literally,
I mean, the thing that's not funny, the thing that's never ever funny is when people, like we say, invest in dinar dongs in whatever next scam project, or you know, when they had all of the GoFundMe's running and stuff that we were exposing at the time, all of these different crowdfunding type things, when people actually part of their money and really invest emotionally into it, yeah, that's never amusing. But we get so much stick from both sides, like you say, the normies, as it were, and both the deep rabbit hole conspiracy heads that are on the Charlie Ward side, that you have to inject some humor into this. And in hindsight as well, having listened to them, if you've come around and you've managed to listen to reason and understand that, yeah, a lot of it is BS and there maybe were red flags and stuff, you have to be able to look back and reflect on yourself and your own experience with a little bit of lightheartedness. You know, not everything is that serious. But yeah, it's certainly not, you know, taking a mick out of them for the sake of it.
No, it's not. And Amanda, I absolutely feel for you. I've put another comment down there. Look, it's quite sensitive, feel a bit stupid, do have a problem with discernment. You helped me to see it, but did see the video with Charlie Ward on that plane, and that was it. And I'm so glad I could help you, or you know, anyone who shared that helped you, or whatever it is, and you did that. You, whether or not that you had stuff given to you to review, you chose to review that. You chose to review that. You chose to take it for what it was, and you chose to make a decision based on that information. And you chose to then probably listen to Charlie and his excuses afterwards and go, "Nah, I'm not buying that. Actually, you know what? That is you practicing discernment, Amanda." And we are trying to
same with, sorry to cut you off, then, but same with like even the start of that comment is quite sensitive. That's like internal reflection. You know, it is quite a sensitive topic for you, and that's absolutely fine. We're not addressing this in a particularly sensitive manner. Like, I give that granted, you know, but that's cool. That's all right. It's just the tone of the conversation is fine.
It's the tone of the conversation, but I do address it in a relatively sensitive manner. Usually, although, you know, I can have fun, make a laugh. If I couldn't have a laugh through any of this, and again, I'm not talking about the people that again, I'm talking about the people that are still defending him to this day, and probably even some of them watched. Some of them will be like, "No, I'm never going to watch that show." You know, regardless of whether it comes down to the importance of what they're believing, what they may be investing in, or whatever. You did, and that's the difference. You did go, all right, let's see what he's got to say, and let's take it in, and let's take it for what it is. And there's
not to get it misconstrued. In that context, when we were talking about sort of like drug addicts and stuff, that's for the people that will sit here on a live stream with us face to face, and we'll show them those clips, and they'll have no reasonable excuse to accept it. But they'll accept it point blank. No, there's nothing wrong with it. No, he didn't really mean that. Well, how did he not mean it? Well, I don't know. He just didn't. All right, then. That's for those.
Not only that, they'll call us names. They'll not only trolls. They'll go as far as saying, "Well, Charlie said that you were a P," you know, or whatever. These people, you have to understand the mental gymnastics that these people do put us through for trying to talk out and trying to spread this information. And not only that, the strife. You know, yes, we brush it off. Yes, we're strong-minded. You know, but it does affect us. Well, it does affect certainly me. I can't speak for Justice, but you know, when you have tons of pressure,
I had to take a break.
Yeah, but you do. You take it in your stride, and you carry on. And the reason that I do what I do, and I know that it's similar for yourself, Justice, it's about truth. It's about helping other people. There's certainly if not none, a very little financial gain for doing any of this. It's certainly not worth our time. If you were, I get paid more. I could go to and do overtime at my day job. Well, I have a day job because I don't get paid for doing this. I will get paid more for going and doing overtime in my day job than sitting and doing this. But I like doing this. I like doing this because I know that it helps people. And you've said to us, Amanda, that it has helped you. And I'm sorry. I don't mean for not just you, anyone else that's feeling like I've maybe hit a bit of a nerve by describing people keep going back as crackheads, etc. I can understand how people could take offence. But it's not. You have to take it for what it is. The tone of this conversation. You know, and sometimes we need to blow off the steam and say things like, you know, it's hard work, and we don't understand how people are still addicted to this information. It is so difficult and mentally draining, and sometimes we need to look back and go, you know what, you know, and make light of the situation. And that's
yeah. I mean, even in hindsight, man, after that, I quite like that analogy. It was funny, and you know, when he says in the comment here, I feel it was stupid. I wouldn't. There's, you know, having listened to some of that stuff, it's not the same thing that we was necessarily referring to. So I certainly wouldn't feel stupid or inferior in any kind of way.
Absolutely. We'll move on from that though. But thank you for your comments, Amanda. I really do appreciate them, and I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate anyone, you know, that's going through this. And again, you know, we hope that this video, as well as all the other ones we do, reach not just the people that already reach us, that we already reach. Sorry, the people that already watch us. We do hope that this material reaches others, and you know. There's no point in just preaching. Well, there is a point in preaching to the choir, and it's great to have you guys all, you know, here tonight. But it would be nice if more people saw this sort of stuff. And I think that it does happen, but it just happens very slowly for us and organically for us. Whereas people like Charlie Ward and Simon Parks, they get sponsored and put on a pedestal, and you know,
no clickbait around here or nothing, you know, and there's no sort of unless it's things reacting to explosive kind of stuff that they've done, you know. There's no falsivities and drama. Oh, this is happening next week. Quickly get to your bunker, like, unless that is a reality, which it hasn't been as of yet, you know. Yeah, like you said, it's going to be a lot more natural for us in terms of progression and stuff. So yeah, push it, people, push it forward.
Push it forward.
I feel that's the only way we really beat these people, isn't it? Really, is by out exposing them a lot of the time.
Absolutely. Keeping on their tail, not giving up. And there's times where I felt like, you know what, I'm just going to stop doing it. Times, you know, you've been off for 6 months. I know that you've been busy with other things. I've been off. I was off a few months ago for like 2 months. And I was just like, you know what? You know, all of us feel sometimes, no matter how much, you know, we try, you know, that are things, is it worth it? And then I remember, yeah, it is worth it, and I get the fire in my belly again. But we all go through those fluctuations, and you know, mental health is important. It's very important to me. I've said this 100 times over 100 shows, but I understand. You know, I understand people stepping back. I understand people not wanting to talk, but I don't want to keep on this because you know, this feels.
Yeah, no. Next topic.
Let's move on.
Bringing the vibes down, man.
Yeah, bringing the vibes. But I think it was an important topic, and I do.
Sure. I don't want anyone. That was a brilliant point, Amanda, and I'm glad you mentioned it.
I'm glad we addressed it. But moving on. Let's talk about something more jovial. So, the last time that we connected, the last time that we did a show on Just Truth was around Gareth Barrows. So, let's just go back into that. Gareth Barrows has been interesting, to say the least. We investigated him nearly 2 years ago now, and he was claiming to be the bodyguard of Greg Hallett, a hitman, and he had this whole spider web of different personality, not personalities, but different identities that he was. You know, Stan Smith. He was in the Royal Marines, and he was. It just went mass. It was crazy 2 years ago, and then not even.
JFK Jr. was the main one, wasn't it? In the end,
what's that?
Was he JFK Jr. in the end? Was that his main thing in the end before he got nicked?
He was what?
JFK Jr.
Oh yeah. So later on. Maybe I don't know, 9 months ago or whatever, a year ago, he then came out that he was JFK's son, Patrick Kennedy. I won't go into I won't really go over the whole thing again. And in fact, I've got like a small clip that can kind of clear up a little bit of it. But I won't go over the whole thing. But he said that he was JFK's son, Patrick Kennedy, and that he was the real king of England. So he stole the kind of story of the person that he was bodyguard to before, which is Greg Hallett, which me and Justice thoroughly debunked through our shows.
Pardon me.
And I went undercover, and we did a show not that long ago, maybe 9 months ago, where I went undercover. I wore a wig. I was Ron Jeremy, and I went undercover with a fake channel, and I interviewed him, and I exposed him in interview. That was that. And then he started making accusations against me and started, whatever. But then eventually, finally, he was then caught and taken to jail. So this is one of those rare instances where you talk about a grifter or a charlatan or someone that's lying, and you find out that Parliament called to action says this is going to be I don't miss a beat. When my favorite video I've ever done was the first video we did on this guy, and that was Just Truth on the KINGSMAN, and I'm still getting messages to this day saying this is the funniest thing I've seen on the internet. I will leave a link in the description. Guys, go and watch it from the start. And this is 2 years ago. This was fresh out of the for me, this was one of the first videos I did, one of the first collaborations I did. It was the most hilarious thing ever. I will show a clip of it in a minute. But before I do, he got jailed. He got arrested. And funnily enough, his very close follower sent us a video of him actually being arrested, which is,
I'm dealing with it. I'm the one who's got the taser, just threatened to taser me. Yeah, did you? Right, it's on my camera.
Yeah, did you?
You can watch yourself out then, can you?
Could you let go of me?
No. What's your name? I've got an opportunity. You give me the opportunity to
dealing with this. We're not giving you anything while we're dealing with it.
All right.
All right.
We're not giving you anything while we're dealing with this, all right?
He said he's going to tase me.
He's going to use force on me. Because he was resisting in that Punisher t-shirt that he was wearing.
He's a pretty hefty lump as well. They're going to try to eat you, man. Crazy.
But what was important was he was arrested as Gareth Barrett, not Patrick Kennedy, which he was trying to convince me. Oh, he was saying, I'm not Gareth Barrett. You can see all that story. Go back and watch it. But I'm not Gareth Barrett. You are. No, I'm Patrick Kennedy. Then afterwards, he was like, I need to tell you guys something separate. I had to have a fake identity as Gareth Barrett. No, that was a real name. But it turns out that he got arrested, and he's been doing this since 2016. So for 6 years, he got arrested for stealing another Gareth Barrett's identity. So did you see this article? Did you see the reason why I wanted to bring this up, the first reason was in your live stream earlier, you asked me how long he was jailed for. Mm-hmm. And I said 18 months. It's actually 21 months. So I got that wrong. And I wanted to make sure that I cleared that up. And, but did you see the video that I did with the news article on it? Or did you miss that one?
I don't know.
Okay, well, it'd be interesting then to see. Can you see this? Fraudster stole identity of former army officer and joined the Scouts. Gareth Barrett acquired personal information to make a false insurance statement, apply for a Barclays bank card, register at a medical centre, and even joined the Scouting Association. And look at that noggin.
Yeah, the Swede is. Right, so
Backwell Matt.
Now continue, sorry.
Oh no, I won't read the whole article because you can go and see that in my video. But he pleaded guilty to 5 charges of fraud, as well as making an untrue statement for the purposes of obtaining a passport and insurance. Imagine going through getting faking your ID, doing all that, but not only that, joining the Scouting Association and what was the other one?
That is suspect. Can't lie, that is
it was jailed.
Super suspect.
The point I made in my video is, why would you have to have a fake identity to join a Scouting Association? Where they mentor children. Why would you do that? That's just
serious alarm bells.
Red flags, big time. So I won't read it all. You can see it in the video that I did recently-ish. So he He joined the gym. He joined the Scouting Association on this fake identity, and he used the name Gareth Barrett. And the thing is when we investigated him, he was using Stan Smith as his. He was pretending to be in the military. The guy that he stole the identity from was a military man, right? And he went on to he changed his name on the socials to Stan Smith and other names, but he put up fake pictures of him being in the military. I'll show a little bit of that in a moment, but he also used the defendant's details to get membership to the Royal Engineers Association and the Scouting Association, as well as obtaining a counterfeit driving license in the name of the complainant. Don't know if you remember from the interview that I did undercover, but he showed me a bank card with Patrick Kennedy on it as well.
Yeah, he did.
Anyway, so that's in short that article. I wanted to show a little clip of what we found out about him and him showing his ties to the military. Because it was quite hilarious. And guys, go and watch this original video, the Kingsman. I know that I've said this before, but it's something else.
Here's our man, a real photograph.
Every time
he gets serving in the Royal Marines.
That's like definitely. I can see us from '99, and that's like Windows 2000 at best.
Mate, what are you talking about? That's real, surely. I'm a trained bodyguard in the UK, looking for work in the USA. I am ex-Special Forces SAS trained in close protection hostile.
Tranid. That sounds like some fucking weird European trip you might embark on as a teenager at some point.
Yeah,
you know, tranid.
It's not hostile. It's not like, I'm guessing he means close. Close protection hostage trained. Whatever that is.
Every time.
But no, hang on, look. I'm Special Ex-Forces SAS trained in close protection. Yeah, hostile
tranid.
Hostile tranid. Hostage.
Come on,
tranid.
if you don't know hostile tranid, you must obviously not be SAS trained. So maybe this last one is actually true then. Maybe he's just done a bit of G4S couriering or something.
This is his security background, isn't it?
Yeah.
G4S, which are they're the company that run money around, right? And
they do all sorts like prison stuff. I mean, Charlie and that Charlie's probably got some friends high up in G4S. I mean, Theresa May's husband was the main dude there while she was Prime Minister. Yeah, G4S do everything, man. Money moving and prisoner care and running prisons and all sorts of shit. But
interesting. Looking after members of the co-op food, looking out for any shoplifters. Oh, so you worked in a.
He was a co-op security guard. Just when we was thinking, oh, you know what? Maybe we actually move some money around with that helmet on and stuff.
Right, so we got to the bottom of it. His experience is he hangs out in the wines, beers, and spirits aisle looking for shoplifters.
Gets worse.
Close protection, British Army. Close protection.
Looking after members of the public sector, like VIPs.
and members of Parliament.
Members of Parliament.
Man, what is Parliament?
Oh, mate. Oh.
Every time that gets me every time I will I will leave a link to that every time I watch that. It kills me. I'll leave a link to the original video, the Kingsman. It was a very old video. Sound quality, video quality is bad, But it was probably my favourite video I've ever done. And then from that afterwards, you had the whole Kingsman story, Gareth Barrett, me going undercover. Like, what an incredible situation that was, going undercover with a wig and an American accent to expose him. Every time it gives me tears watching that. That's brilliant.
That video is hilarious, man. And like you say, the interview there where you dressed up and that's just top quality stuff. Proper good. I love watching that. That was hilarious.
Always love watching that back every time. So guys, if you want to see as well as some more just truth live, so we're not ending yet. I've got something else to say, but and just truth videos, let us know in the comments. Absolutely, I always have great fun and a great laugh collaborating with you, Justice. But funnily enough, his ex-girlfriend messaged me. So back at the time when we were investigating the Kingsman, he was living in Bristol. Obviously, the article you saw was from the Bristol Post, but he moved up to Scotland and was following his dream, and he was becoming the king, and he moved up north. The lady he was with before, he left her and went and married the other lady that we saw in the King videos that I did, which was a completely different woman. But when he was in Bristol, he was with this other woman who he was living with and was with for 5 years. I don't know how you can have a live with and be with a Walter Mitty character for 5 years. But God bless her, she was, and I won't reveal her first name, but her second name was Barrett.
You're breaking up a little bit.
So I said I won't reveal her first name, but her second name was Barrett, and I wondered, was she his wife at some point? So anyway, we had this exchange, and pretty quickly, I noted that it must be. Can you see that? It must be his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend. So she I believe suffers from dyslexia, as well as Gareth does. Well, seems to be. He's never confirmed that, but I'll read out what I believe she was trying to say here. I wish people would have told Gareth I was living with him for 5 years. I'm glad you exposed him. What a joke he is. And I said, are you his ex-wife? And she says, no, ex-girlfriend. How left to go see the king, what a nightmare he was. And I said, let me understand, why is your last name Barrett? And she said, he set my account that way. Glad he went to jail. Yeah. So she says, so I say, oh, I see. Bit weird. Yes, Gareth is a deranged man. You dodged a bullet when you split up. And she said, yes, I did. Don't worry. Left the house and all the stuff in it to become the king. What a joke. So this guy just literally just upped and left this woman who'd stood by him for 5 years and all his probably BS, Walter Mitty type stuff. Good woman, I'm sure, especially to stick with this guy. And I just, just said it really was a joke. She said, yes. Yeah, I do feel for her. She said, yes, too right. Glad it got away. And I said, and then he later said that he was JFK's son, Patrick. Did he ever tell you that he was Patrick Kennedy? And she said, oh, what a laugh. No, just the king. And I said, of course, he made that up later on. And she said, yes, really, mental person, had a double life. And I said, double? He had about 10 different names and different personalities. And she said, yes, he's very mad. Good rid of him. He's a liar. And I said, bless you for having to deal with him. Hopefully only good things come for you now, whilst he pays for his actions. And she said, yes, too right, and thank you. Thank you for reaching out and telling us that. But yeah, that I thought that was interesting.
It's always nice to kind of bring it back to like the families and the personal stories, like with Greg's sisters, etc. It's nice to see these people's real lives get exposed in a way sometimes.
As far as I'm aware, she has met another bloke and is extremely happy and is living her best life and is looking back on that and saw my videos and thought, great, thank you for doing that. And I wanted to tell you that. And she's living her best life now. So great to see, and I wish her all the best. But at the same time, it confirms what she was saying. He never ever had said that he was son of JFK before. That was some more BS that he brought up afterwards. Which is quite nice to get that confirmation from his 5-year ex-girlfriend just before he decided to completely up and leave her and leave all of his stuff and move to the other end of the UK to become king. And unfortunately, he got completely debunked by us, and then soon after got jailed for fraud, which was probably inevitable.
Yeah, crazy times, man. Crazy times.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going to wrap up soon. I think that's all I've got for tonight. I've got some more stuff, but I think that maybe we'll do another one of these shows if you guys want to see that.
Yeah, man, for sure. We've got time.
But for the last maybe 5-10 minutes, we'll take. He's still here. Well, any questions for us? Well, I'll hang around for the last 5 minutes or so. We got time. So I'll have a look through the comments while we're waiting. Good evening, lads, from Freddie Lupical. Glad I caught you live. Yeah, I mean, I do premieres, but I'm not. I don't very often do lives. The last time I did a live was maybe Griftbusters a long time ago. Rabbit Leaders sharing the Kingsman video. Thank you, Rabbit Leader, for doing that. I'll put it up on the screen, although I don't think people can click the screen, but yeah. So any questions for us, guys? We're on for another 5 minutes or so. Happy to answer some questions while you've got us here. A call to action, Ipswitch says, gets me every time. That's going back to the video of us talking about the Kingsman. So let's have a look. Anything being said?
Yeah, that's a classic video, that is.
I love it. I love it. Someone says they miss Griftbusters. Maybe we'll do another one at some point. Okay, guys. Well, if you guys have got questions for us,
what do you think of this whole bug eating scenario, bro?
Of this what scenario?
Bug eating. People
talk about bugs. In Japan, they're already doing it. It looks like. I did a video recently, one on the GSRQ. I think I said that the right way around. I don't know. Well, I say I don't know how legit that is. I have been. I wanted to do a video on it actually because they've kind of been busted in a way. These people with this story for this system, this new banking system they're talking about. You've probably not seen it, Justice, but there is a woman that emailed them to say, can you make me a sovereign and transfer my money and send her a big figure, and basically entrap them into, I I'll have to show you more on this. I think I will have to do a video on it. But what I think about bug eating, the whole premise behind that video was talking about what could be our future, what could be their agenda, and bug eating was a big thing on that. It's already happening. People are already eating bugs. Are they going to make us eat bugs? Do you think people are going to stand? All people are going to stand for eating bugs? Is that going to be our only choice? What's going to happen there? I mean, what's your thoughts?
I think partially it could be a lot of. It's hard really whether I say like a case of fear mongering to an extent, or sort of preemptive, predictive programming type stuff, where like resources are going to be scarce and you're going to have to eat some shit. Preemptive, predictive programming in that sense, or whether it's just fear mongering to induce that kind of thing where people just go out and buy all the rest of the good food quickly once stuff starts getting a bit rough. I don't quite know, but I feel like, there's slightly more to it psychologically than just mentioning the fact that eating bugs might be a good idea.
Someone said, it's gone now because I didn't pin it. They'd rather eat rats or something. There's this pin comment saying, did you hear about Charlie Ward say that Australia will succeed from the Commonwealth and answer directly to Trump? I did not hear him say that. Big claims.
Big claims.
As always. Big claims.
Yeah,
requires extraordinary evidence or something to happen. And with him, nothing ever that he says happens.
Yeah, and I mean, again, in terms of like discernment and stuff, like it would be almost the same as saying like the same with Israel. You know what I mean? Do these seem like nations that are like going to be on that? Really? I mean, not that you would believe anything he's saying anyway, anything that old Fordy Wardy says at this point, you should hopefully be calling BS to, but just if it was someone else, for instance, saying it and not someone that has a track record of lying, you just look at the nations involved and be like, well, what's the track record of this whole thing? Not looking good, really, Those would be my initial thoughts.
Well, Tiss, it's been awesome to have you on. Glad to do another Just Truth. We'll do more of these, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments. Justice, they can find you if they search for Justice on YouTube, of course. Any other socials you want to plug, or are you happy with that?
Hit me up on Instagram at farms_1 if you want to upload there relatively often enough or whatever. Yeah, Justice, hit me up.
Justice, you can find him on YouTube quite easily. The link to his YouTube channel is already in the description. Of course, you've already found me if you're watching this show. And you can also find me on Telegram, Facebook, Twitter. Guys, it's been awesome. It's been awesome to interact with you all. It's been awesome to pin up your comments, talk about stuff, go off on tangents. I hope to do this again. Let us know what you think of the show in the comments or anything we've talked about. I'd love to see some comments on some of the deeper stuff that we talked about, certainly, especially some of the tangents that we went on. Was great. So thanks, guys, for joining us. And until next time, make sure you hit up Justice. Thanks, Justice, for joining us.
Hit the likes, share it, all of that good stuff.
Justice, God bless you. God bless you, man. Huna, huna, ina, ina. Until next time. God bless MCka. God bless you, man. That was a Huna flash joke for anyone that's following us. Until next time, guys, and follow Justice, follow MCka Truth.
Peace, peoples.
Peace out.
Nice one.